China leads the world in clean energy production. It produces about 80% of the world's solar panels and EV batteries and nearly 60% of electric vehicles. Chinese EV giant BYD has taken over Tesla as the world's top-selling electric car maker, and China dominates the world in the clean transportation sector, accounting for over 90% of the world's electric buses and trucks. Shenzhen became the first city in the world to fully replace its diesel buses for electric. Other Chinese cities have since followed, with many aiming to fully switch their systems before 2025.
Imagine a country that changed the way the world uses energy by harnessing the power of the sun and wind. This is the story of how China took over renewable energy, a journey full of ambition, smart planning, and groundbreaking ideas that reshaped our global future. Our story begins in the 1980s. Back then, renewable energy was just a small, experimental idea in many parts of the world. Countries were only starting to explore solar panels and wind turbines. In China, however, a different plan was quietly taking shape. With a rapidly growing population and a need to improve living standards in both cities and rural areas, China saw an opportunity to use clean energy as a way to power its future. By the early 2000s, the idea of clean energy was starting to catch on around the world. China realized that relying on fossil fuels like coal and oil was not a sustainable long-term plan. The Chinese government began to invest heavily in renewable energy research and manufacturing. In 2005, China emerged as the world's largest producer of solar panels, a sign of bigger things to come. From 2005 onward, several key milestones marked China's rise. In 2009, as many countries struggled with the global financial crisis, China launched new programs to support renewable energy. By 2010, China had installed over 5 gigawatts of solar power, a number that far outpaced many Western nations. This rapid growth was not just about numbers. It was about setting a new direction for the world's energy future. By 2015, China was producing nearly half of the world's solar panels. The country's wind power capacity also soared, with over 150 gigawatts installed by the mid-2010s. According to the International Renewable Energy Agency, by 2020, China had built more than 1,000 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity. These numbers tell a powerful story. China was not only growing its renewable energy, but it was also driving down the cost of clean energy technology. One of the most impressive parts of China's journey has been its ability to make renewable energy more affordable. Thanks to mass production and continuous innovation, the cost of solar panels has dropped by over 80% in the last decade. This means that what once was a luxury is now a practical and cost-effective way to generate power. But success does not come without challenges. As China built more and more solar and wind farms, questions began to arise. Large solar farms need a lot of land, and there are challenges when it comes to disposing of old or damaged panels. Wind farms too raise concerns about their impact on local wildlife and landscapes. Moreover, China's rapid growth in renewable energy sometimes led to trade tensions and debates over fair business practices with other countries. Critics have argued that China's fast rise in renewable energy came at a cost. Some say that the aggressive expansion put pressure on global markets and created challenges for fair competition. However, these pressures have also pushed improvements in quality, efficiency, and environmental safeguards. The Chinese government has worked to balance rapid growth with the need to protect nature and ensure that renewable energy truly benefits everyone. China's influence now stretches far beyond its own borders. By producing affordable solar panels and wind turbines, China has helped many developing countries across Africa, Asia, and Latin America access clean energy for the first time. In these regions, Chinese renewable energy technology has sparked progress, powering schools, hospitals, and homes. This global spread of technology has led to new partnerships and a push for even greater innovation around the world. Today, renewable energy is more than just a way to reduce pollution. It is a key part of how we think about the future of our planet. China's example shows that with strong government support and smart investments, a country can lead a global shift toward cleaner energy. The Chinese model of large-scale production and continuous innovation has set new standards for what is possible in renewable energy. Looking to the future, China is not resting on its laurels. The next big challenge is energy storage, finding smart ways to store the power from the sun and wind for use when the weather isn't so friendly. This is a critical piece of the puzzle, as more renewable energy means the grid must be able to handle fluctuations in supply. China is investing in new battery technology and smart grid systems to ensure that clean energy remains reliable and efficient. Consider this. China now produces about 70% of the world's lithium-ion batteries. These batteries are essential for electric cars, home energy storage, and even stabilizing entire power grids. As the global community moves away from fossil fuels, these innovations will play a major role in shaping our energy future.
China is no stranger to tackling monumental engineering challenges. The Three Gorges Dam, the world's largest hydroelectric project, transformed rivers into one of the country's primary energy sources. Now, Chinese scientists and engineers are setting their sights even higher, literally. They plan to construct a solar power station in space, a project some have described as building at Three Gorges in space. This isn't just a vision for the distant future. The groundwork is already being laid, with key milestones set for the coming decades. The concept involves capturing solar energy in orbit and beaming it back to Earth using wireless technology. While this idea has been explored for decades, China's plan is among the most ambitious yet. The basic principle of a space-based solar power station revolves around harnessing the uninterrupted sunlight available in space. In orbit, the absence of atmospheric interference allows solar panels to capture energy more efficiently than those on Earth. Unlike ground-based solar farms, which face challenges such as cloud cover, rain, or the setting sun, a solar station in geostationary orbit has access to consistent, direct sunlight 24 hours a day. In this unique environment, solar energy can be harvested at its full intensity without being diluted by Earth's atmosphere. The panels, designed to operate in the vacuum of space, would be constructed to endure extreme conditions, such as drastic temperature fluctuations and exposure to cosmic radiation. These conditions, which would render most terrestrial materials ineffective, require advanced engineering solutions. Once collected, the solar energy must be converted into a form suitable for transmission back to Earth. This involves complex systems capable of transforming sunlight into electromagnetic waves, either as microwaves or laser beams. These waves would then travel through space, unaffected by gravity or atmospheric drag, until they reach ground-based receiving stations. These stations are equipped with massive antennas or rectennas, specially designed to capture the energy with precision and efficiency. One of the most intriguing aspects of this process is the use of phased array technology in the transmission system. This allows for fine-tuned adjustments in the direction and intensity of the energy beams, ensuring that they stay accurately targeted on the receiving stations despite the constant motion of the Earth and the orbiting solar farm. Maintaining this synchronization requires not only cutting-edge software and sensors but also seamless communication between the station in orbit and the infrastructure on the ground. The scale of energy production envisioned for such a project is immense. A single space-based solar power station could theoretically provide power levels comparable to several large nuclear power plants combined. This capacity has sparked global interest in the potential of orbiting solar farms to address energy needs, particularly in regions where traditional energy sources are either scarce or unstable. As ambitious as it sounds, the project demands meticulous planning and execution at every stage. From the deployment of modular components into orbit to the assembly of vast arrays of solar collectors, the logistics of building and operating a solar power station in space represent a feat of engineering yet to be fully realized. Yet the allure of continuous, abundant energy makes the effort not just worthwhile but potentially transformative for the energy landscape of the future. China's journey towards space-based solar power began in earnest in 2010. Since then, they have invested heavily in research and development, with government support and funding driving the effort. In 2019, China announced a bold timeline for the project. By 2030, they plan to launch a small-scale experimental solar power station. This prototype will test the feasibility of key technologies, including the deployment of large solar arrays and the wireless transmission of power. By 2049, the centenary of the People's Republic of China, they aim to have a fully operational commercial-scale solar power station in orbit. If successful, it could generate up to 2 gigawatts of electricity, enough to power millions of homes. One of the most challenging aspects of the project is the wireless energy transmission system. To beam energy back to Earth, scientists must develop advanced microwave or laser technology capable of maintaining high efficiency over vast distances. The process involves converting solar energy into electromagnetic waves, which are then sent to ground-based receivers using precise targeting systems. At the receiving stations, these waves are captured by special antennas and converted back into electricity. However, maintaining the accuracy of these transmissions is critical. Even a slight misalignment could lead to energy losses or, worse, potential safety risks. The construction and deployment of the solar panels themselves are another daunting challenge. Traditional solar panels on Earth are heavy and fragile, but launching materials into space requires lightweight, durable alternatives. China is exploring the use of thin-film solar cells, which are not only lighter but also more efficient at converting sunlight into electricity. These cells can also be folded or rolled up for compact storage during launch, then unfurled in space to form massive arrays. One proposed design involves panels spanning several kilometers, supported by modular structures that can be assembled in orbit using robotic technology. China's existing infrastructure in space gives it a strong foundation for this project. The Tiangong space station, for example, is already in orbit and serves as a platform for testing various technologies, including solar power systems. The country has also developed heavy-lift rockets, such as the Long March 5, capable of carrying large payloads into space. These rockets are crucial for transporting the components needed to build the solar power station. Additionally, China's Beidou satellite navigation system could play a key role in ensuring the precise alignment of the solar farm and its energy transmissions. The potential benefits of this project are significant. Unlike terrestrial solar farms, which are limited by weather and the day-night cycle, space-based solar stations can operate continuously. This could provide a stable and reliable source of power, especially for regions with limited access to traditional energy infrastructure. Furthermore, the technology has applications beyond energy generation. For example, it could power remote scientific outposts, disaster relief operations, or even lunar bases in the future. Despite its promise, the project faces numerous challenges: technical, financial, and environmental. First, the cost of launching and assembling such a massive structure in space is enormous. Current estimates suggest that building a commercial-scale solar farm could cost tens of billions of dollars. Second, there are concerns about space debris. The growing number of satellites and other objects in orbit increases the risk of collisions, which could damage the solar farm or disrupt its operations. The long-term effects of beaming high-intensity microwaves or lasers through the atmosphere are not yet fully understood. Scientists will need to ensure that these transmissions are safe for humans, wildlife, and the environment. Despite these challenges, China's Three Gorges in Space project represents a bold step forward in the quest for innovative energy solutions. If successful, it could revolutionize the way we think about power generation and pave the way for similar projects around the world. For now, the world watches as China pushes the boundaries of engineering and science, aiming to turn what was once science fiction into reality. Will this ambitious plan succeed? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: the journey toward building a solar power station in space is already reshaping our vision of the future.
Throughout history, civilizations have sought to shape their landscapes through grand architectural and infrastructural feats, forever altering the course of human progress. From the Great Pyramids of Giza to the Roman aqueducts, each epic undertaking once seemed impossible, only to become an enduring testament to ingenuity. Today, the nation of China continues this proud tradition of construction on an unprecedented scale, fueling the world's fastest urbanization and transforming entire regions at breakneck speed. These projects are not mere symbols of national pride. They are essential for sustaining a population of over 1.4 billion people, a bustling manufacturing sector, and a rapidly evolving tech-driven society. In the 20th century, China's infrastructural journey was already remarkable, particularly in the post-1978 reform and opening up era. Agriculture and manufacturing soared. Roads, ports, and power plants sprang to life, laying the groundwork for explosive economic growth. Yet, few could have predicted that by the early 21st century, China would lead the world in high-speed rail lines, erect record-breaking bridges, and construct new cities from scratch. Today, in 2025, the country's ambitions show no sign of waning. As the global community grapples with climate change, resource management, and the need for innovative transportation, China's mega-projects have become a focal point, heralded by some as feats of modernization, and by others as undertakings fraught with environmental and financial complexities. To understand the scope and ambition of China's modern megaprojects, we must trace back to the late 1970s. Under Deng Xiaoping's leadership, China initiated sweeping economic reforms that opened its markets to foreign investment and catalyzed domestic industry. In 1978, only 17.9% of China's population lived in urban areas. Today, in 2025, the figure surpasses 65%, underscoring one of the most dramatic rural-to-urban migrations in recorded history. With this influx came a desperate need for improved housing, efficient transportation, and robust public utilities. During the 1980s and 1990s, China focused on modernizing its highway system and establishing industrial zones, particularly in coastal areas like Shenzhen, which transformed from a humble fishing village to a bustling metropolis of over 17 million residents in a few decades. In the 2000s, spurred by China's entry into the World Trade Organization and the global rise of Chinese manufacturing, infrastructure investment shifted to next-level projects. High-speed rail networks, massive airports, cutting-edge power grids, and the expansion of intercity transit systems. With each new endeavor, the country's appetite for large-scale construction grew, culminating in projects that are now considered among the most ambitious on the planet. By 2020, much of the core infrastructure, like major highways and standard rail lines, was already in place. What came next were groundbreaking megaprojects designed to address specific needs, from bridging entire regions to redirecting water from water-rich areas to drought-prone provinces. In 2025, we see how these initiatives evolve, expand, and contribute to China's overarching goals for economic dominance, technological innovation, and global connectivity. The high-speed rail revolution. Few infrastructures epitomize China's rapid transformation more dramatically than its high-speed rail, HSR network. Launched in earnest around 2008 with the opening of the Beijing-Tianjin high-speed line, China's HSR quickly eclipsed that of any other nation in terms of scope and passenger volume. In 2012, the total length of high-speed tracks stood at approximately 9,000 kilometers, a figure that, at the time, already dwarfed other countries' networks. By 2020, it reached over 35,000 kilometers, and in 2025, the system is estimated to have exceeded 45,000 kilometers, reflecting a continued annual growth rate of around 10%. The ethos driving this expansion is both practical and aspirational. On the practical side, China's vast territory requires fast and efficient travel to integrate regional economies, reduce traffic congestion, and cut down on long-haul flight dependency. On the aspirational side, the government envisions an ultra-modern transport corridor where commuting between mega-regions like the Beijing-Tianjin-Hebei cluster or the Greater Bay Area can be accomplished at speeds of up to 350 kilometers per hour. A typical journey from Beijing to Shanghai, roughly 1,300 kilometers, now takes under 5 hours by bullet train. The data underscores just how transformative this rail revolution has been for China's economy. According to official statistics, daily ridership on the HSR network surpassed 7 million by 2019 and has rebounded to near that level in 2025, following a brief downturn during global public health disruptions. Ticket prices remain relatively affordable, ensuring widespread accessibility. High-speed trains, such as the Fuxing Rejuvenation series, boast advanced engineering capabilities. Some routes even test maglev magnetic levitation technology, which can theoretically push speeds towards 600 kilometers per hour. The entire system exemplifies how massive state investment can radically alter a country's transport matrix within just 2 decades. Yet the high-speed rail venture is not without controversies. Critics note the substantial debt accrued by the China Railway Corporation and local governments to finance construction, often pointing to lower-than-expected passenger numbers in certain remote lines. Nonetheless, as 2025 unfolds, China's high-speed rail remains a cornerstone project, an unequivocal statement that the country aims to lead globally in large-scale transport engineering. The Belt and Road Initiative. Another transformative enterprise is the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, introduced in 2013 by President Xi Jinping. Encompassing the Silk Road Economic Belt, spanning Central Asia to Europe, and the 21st Century Maritime Silk Road, linking Southeast Asia, Africa, and beyond. The BRI rapidly became the largest infrastructure and investment project in modern history. Early investments targeted railways, highways, and ports in neighboring countries. But the scope soon broadened to include energy pipelines, telecommunication networks, and special economic zones across multiple continents. By 2020, over 140 nations had signed some form of BRI cooperation agreement with China. Supporters celebrated the initiative's promise to bridge the global infrastructure gap, facilitate trade, and spur economic development in regions that had long been overlooked. Detractors, however, raised concerns about debt sustainability, environmental impact, and local job displacement. In response, China has, in recent years, emphasized green BRI guidelines, introducing measures to reduce environmental damage through more stringent oversight. Fast forward to 2025, and the BRI's evolution is evident. While some marquee projects, like the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, have faced delays due to financing challenges and geopolitical tensions, many rail links across Central Asia have continued to expand. One shining example is the rail freight route connecting Chengdu, China, with Lodz, Poland, which has seen a 15% annual increase in cargo volume since 2022, thanks to logistical refinements and improved cross-border coordination. Likewise, a major power grid connection through Laos reached a significant milestone in early 2024, enabling the export of surplus hydropower to neighboring countries. As of 2025, official figures suggest that total cumulative investment under the BRI framework has surpassed $1 trillion, spread across multiple sectors. The initiative's future remains fluid, influenced by global economic conditions, regional security concerns, and the Chinese government's focus on sustainable development. Nonetheless, the Belt and Road Initiative stands as an audacious testament to China's aspiration to reshape economic corridors on a transcontinental scale. Beijing Daxing International Airport. Perhaps no single structure embodies China's futuristic ambitions more than the Beijing Daxing International Airport. Nicknamed the Starfish for its unique radial design, the airport opened its doors in September 2019 after 4 years of construction and an estimated $11.2 billion in costs. Designed by the late architect Zaha Hadid, Daxing Airport boasts a terminal spanning over 700,000 square meters, making it one of the largest single-building airport terminals in the world. Initially envisioned to alleviate capacity constraints at Beijing Capital International Airport, Daxing quickly became a global aviation hub. By the end of 2020, it handled approximately 16 million passengers, a figure dampened by travel restrictions of the time, but still indicative of its potential. In 2025, passenger throughput has soared well above 70 million annually, with projections placing it on track to eventually serve 100 million passengers per year. The airport's design reflects cutting-edge technology aimed at streamlining passenger experience. Automated check-in kiosks, facial recognition for security clearance, and AI-based traffic management systems reduce wait times and flight delays. The building's architecture allows natural light to flood the interior, diminishing the need for artificial lighting. Moreover, extensive use of renewable energy, such as solar power arrays installed around the premises, aligns with China's pledge for greener infrastructures. Complemented by a high-speed rail station and multiple subway lines converging beneath the terminal, Daxing is emblematic of the integrated transport approach that characterizes many of China's megaprojects. It isn't just an airport, it's a cornerstone of the broader Beijing-Tianjin-Hebei regional development plan, connecting millions of residents to global destinations with minimal friction. As air travel rebounds in 2025, Daxing International Airport stands as both a functional necessity and a symbolic gateway to China's modern future. The Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge. When the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, HZMB, opened to traffic in late 2018, it redefined maritime infrastructure. Stretching 55 kilometers across the Pearl River Delta, it remains the longest sea-crossing bridge tunnel system ever built. The HZMB plays a vital role in connecting the cities of Hong Kong, Zhuhai, and Macau, central to the development of the Greater Bay Area, an emerging mega-region encompassing 9 cities in Guangdong Province alongside the special administrative regions of Hong Kong and Macau. Beyond its architectural grandeur, the bridge has significantly reduced travel time between Hong Kong and Zhuhai, from approximately 4 hours by car to just 30 minutes. By 2025, daily vehicular traffic has stabilized around 6,000 to 7,000 vehicles, with occasional spikes during holidays. While some critics initially labeled the project a white elephant due to high costs, around $20 billion, and lower than expected usage in its early years, traffic has steadily climbed as the Greater Bay Area's economy continues to intertwine. Technologically, constructing such a lengthy sea bridge posed massive engineering challenges. 2 artificial islands were built to house the transition between the bridge and a submerged tunnel, allowing ships to pass overhead without obstructing one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. The bridge is designed to withstand typhoons, shifting ocean currents, and, according to official specifications, earthquakes of up to magnitude 8.0. Engineers tested various building materials for corrosion resistance, given the high salinity of the Pearl River estuary. By linking 3 major economic hubs, the HZMB fosters improved regional integration, boosting tourism and investment within the Greater Bay Area. In 2025, expansions in customs and immigration facilities aim to streamline cross-border flow. For many, this sea-crossing project stands as an emblem of China's capacity to build at scale and tackle formidable geographic obstacles. The South-North Water Transfer Project. Unlike airports and bridges that dazzle the skyline, the South-North Water Transfer Project is a complex and understated feat of engineering, designed to address one of China's most pressing challenges, water scarcity in the north. Officially approved in 2002, this massive network of canals, aqueducts, and tunnels redirects water from the Yangtze River Basin in southern China to the drought-prone north, including Beijing and Tianjin. The project consists of 3 main routes: eastern, middle, and western, each spanning hundreds of kilometers. The middle route, completed in 2014, stretches over 1,400 kilometers, carrying water from Danjiangkou Reservoir in Hubei Province to Beijing. By 2020, close to 9.5 billion cubic meters of water had been transferred annually through the middle route alone, benefiting approximately 53 million people. In 2025, that figure has risen slightly due to continued improvements in channel capacity and efficiency. The east route follows the path of the Grand Canal, lifting water from the lower Yangtze region toward Shandong Province through a series of pump stations. Although initial phases have been operational since 2013, progress on the east route continues, focusing on capacity upgrades and the introduction of advanced water purification facilities. Meanwhile, the most controversial section remains the western route, which is still in the planning phase. This part would cut through the Qinghai-Tibet Plateau's challenging terrain, a region of high altitude and ecological sensitivity, sparking debates on environmental impact, the displacement of local communities, and technical feasibility. Despite these challenges, the South-North Water Transfer Project has proven crucial for sustaining agricultural production, industrial needs, and everyday consumption in water-starved regions. Critics argue that long-term sustainability requires improved water conservation and pollution control, rather than massive transfers that could upset delicate ecosystems. Still, the data underscores its necessity. Beijing's per capita water availability once hovered at around 100 cubic meters per year, far below the United Nations' scarcity threshold of 1,000 cubic meters. Thanks to the ongoing improvements in water supply, the city and surrounding regions now enjoy a less precarious existence, although the road to a truly balanced water strategy remains long. Xiong'an New Area and Futuristic City Projects. In April 2017, China announced the creation of the Xiong'an New Area in Hebei Province, branding it a Millennium Strategy aimed at relieving Beijing of non-essential functions, spurring regional development, and fostering innovation-driven growth. Nestled about 100 kilometers southwest of downtown Beijing, Xiong'an has been meticulously planned as a smart city from inception, with advanced digital infrastructure, green spaces, and clean energy transit systems at its core. Early years focused on land acquisition, environmental restoration, particularly around the Bayangdian Lake, and setting up basic infrastructure like roads and utilities. By 2023, several government agencies and state-owned enterprises had relocated certain offices to Xiong'an, signaling that the area's transformation from farmland to futuristic metropolis was truly underway. In 2025, construction cranes will continue to dominate the skyline as the second stage of development unfolds, marked by the completion of key transit lines and the opening of research institutes focusing on artificial intelligence, robotics, and next-generation information technology. Detailed data on Xiong'an's growth indicates that the local population is expected to reach 2.5 million by 2035, though much will depend on how effectively the region attracts businesses and retains talent. To mitigate urban sprawl, city planners have limited building heights in certain zones, allocated large parcels for public parks, and introduced sophisticated water purification and flood management systems, all of which aim to make Xiong'an an eco-friendly template for future Chinese cities. Xiong'an is not an isolated case. Across China, other large urban centers, such as Shenzhen and Chongqing, continue to sprawl outward with planned expansions. However, Xiong'an stands out for its government-decreed vision and the high-level endorsement that places it on the same strategic tier as previous special economic zones, including Shenzhen and Pudong in Shanghai. If fully realized, Xiong'an could become a living laboratory for sustainable city building, showcasing how policy, technology, and ecological awareness can converge in an entirely new metropolitan blueprint. As China pivots toward cleaner energy and seeks more efficient power transmission, ultra-high voltage (UHV) power line projects have gained prominence. Initiated to address the inefficiencies of transmitting electricity across vast distances, China's State Grid Corporation has invested heavily in UHV lines that can operate at voltages of 800 kilovolts and above. These lines significantly reduce power losses over long distances, allowing renewable energy from western provinces, like solar power from the deserts of Xinjiang or wind power from Inner Mongolia, to feed the industrial belts in the east and south. By 2025, China reportedly has over 30 UHV transmission projects in operation, weaving together a national grid that is more resilient and more efficient than ever before. Each of these lines can carry gigawatts of electricity, enough to power millions of households while simultaneously facilitating the integration of green energy sources. The construction of these lines demands advanced technology, including specially designed transformers and towers built to endure harsh weather conditions. Proponents argue that UHV is essential for China's goal of achieving carbon neutrality by 2060, though skeptics remain concerned about high construction costs, electromagnetic radiation, and grid stability when dealing with intermittent renewable energy. Ultimately, China's craziest megaprojects stand at the forefront of human adaptability and aspiration. They illustrate how rapidly we can shape our environment when resources, political will, and technology converge. For better or worse, the blueprint of tomorrow may already be taking form on the high-speed rails, undersea tunnels, futuristic airports, and new cities of China. As we journey into the next decade, these monumental structures serve as a reminder that what was once considered impossible can, indeed, become reality, and that the future of global infrastructure may well be forged in the forging yards and construction sites of the world's most populous nation.